emerging victorious. We were talking a little bit before I hit record just about Chris Holtmann and his time in Columbus. A couple years into his tenure, it looked like he might be the best hire of that cycle when Archie Miller was hired at Indiana. Brad Underwood got off to a slow start at Illinois, and Holtmann had figured things out pretty quickly, it seemed like, in Columbus, and obviously had some really strong finishes in the Big Ten. Never really, I don't think, got to where fans wanted in terms of the NCAA tournament. And then last season, things really unraveled. That Indiana game at home, a moment that stood out to a lot of people that was kind of, I don't want to say the nail in the coffin because maybe it was coming anyway, but I think maybe that was just a moment that a lot of people looked at and thought this isn't going to work out. And you've watched this up close, and you've obviously covered Holtmann for a long time. How surprised were you at just how things went sideways so quickly, and now he's at DePaul, and Ohio State's got a new coach in Jake Diebler.
Yeah, it's interesting how quickly it did fall off because you look at those first 5 years and they made the tournament every year and they were they never won a trophy. They came close a couple of times. That first year you go 15-3 in the Big Ten, but you don't get a share of the championship, and Penn State beat you 3 times that year, and so that put a weird sort of coda on a year that he was Big Ten Coach of the Year and they had the Big Ten Player of the Year. And then, he had inherited such a decimated roster. You go back the last couple of years of the Thad Matta era, and they had, entire recruiting classes transfer out. And this is before the transfer portal really kicked in. And so there was a real big hole on the roster that he had to patch. And it felt like getting back to the tournament in 2019, they were able to do that. And then COVID hits. They had a really good team that year. And you get through that and you get to 2021. And to me, this is where it all kind of changed because they're playing through the pandemic and they get to the Big Ten tournament and they come just short of beating Illinois in the championship game of the Big Ten tournament. They're at Lucas Oil and come off of that, and it was took a lot out of them. Really emotional, physical run through the tournament. There, they ultimately lose in overtime, and then they go lose to Oral Roberts, and it just all kind of unraveled from there. They decided to go young and build the roster through really talented players that they felt would be multi-year players who brought a lot to the table, but that happened to come in an era where college basketball is older than it's ever been. And so taking those lumps with those young players just didn't pay off in the way that they expected it that it would. And so that's how you end up with a roster these last 2 years that they go 5-15 in 2023, and we're really struggling in 2024, 23, 24 until they make that move. And to your point about the Indiana game last season, that was yeah, the proverbial nail in the coffin to lose that lead at home and take that loss. That was what set the wheels in motion to where a week later, they lose at Wisconsin on it was a Tuesday night, and then Wednesday morning he's gone. So it's weird because it feels like it kind of happened quickly, but you can go back and pinpoint some milestones where it's like, okay, this thing is trending in the wrong direction, and then it all came to a head, there on Valentine's Day this year.